Hi, it's Warren Hewitt. Hope you're doing marvelously well. And I'd like to talk a little bit about mixing guitars. I'm going to go back to the Chase song that I've used a couple of times, Gone. On this song, I recorded acoustic guitar and I also played electric guitar. So I'll show you a couple of little simple tricks that I do to blend, the guitars into the mix. Now, let's firstly go to the electric guitar. Now, I have a simple part here that I've done. I'll play it to you. What I did is do a couple of things here. I've got a DI here and an amp. Now, I like to print the DI as well as the amp if I can. It gives me a little bit more options in the mix. Or I can either, take the DI and reamp, or usually I can just stick like a SansAmp plugin or a decapitator or something fun like that across it. But in this instance, I'm not using the DI anything other than maybe, editing. The other thing about DI, if you print a DI, is it makes editing a little easier. You can pick up a transient a little quicker and easier, because when you're picking with the guitar, that sort of, as the pick goes across, it's barely audible by a DI, but through an amp, that can be quite a, and that might not be where you want to have the transient land on the beat. So having a nice clean DI can make editing a lot easier. Anyway, so in this instance, though, I'm not using the DI for the mix. So I've got, I recorded my Pro Junior with SM57, and I'm using here a Mac DSP analog channel. I love this. It does a lot of work for me. It does a lot of EQ for me, because yes, it's compressing, but you see I'm also doing a little low roll-off here by selecting the tape speed that I want. And it's got a modern or a vintage setting. If I go to vintage, it might give me a little bump. Let's go to 7.5. There's all kinds of fun things I can do which shape the sound. Here's the bias control here. So if I whack the bias up, it wipes off some of the top end. I can go from Swiss to Japanese to American sounds. You see, by selecting that, it changes the slope on the bottom end. I grew up in England, and all the studios I worked in as a musician, at least the expensive ones, had, Studas like I have over here. I have an A80, and which are relatively inexpensive now. If you want to go to tape, you can get a decent studio for like $5,000 or less, which is stupidly, insanely cheap, considering the amount of incredible steel and other wonderful things they put in. But most of us don't have a lot of money to spend on it, so this is a great solution. Tape simulation can really, really help you. And I love this Mac DSP one. There are other ones. I have a Kramer tape simulation, etc. But I love the Mac DSP stuff. It works great. So anyway, I've got a little bit of stuff going on with this. See, if I put on a gain reduction, it's just lightly hitting it, just very occasionally. But I use it just because I like the way it sounds. Now here's a trick. I've duplicated the channel and I'm panning it far right, which is this channel here. I'm using the same compression / EQ that the analog channel brings, and I'm just putting a deverb on it, giving it like a second worth of verb. And that's giving me some width in the mix. So I've got a guitar panned over 50% over here to the left, and then I've got full right, I've got the same guitar but with 100% mix of verb on it, and that gives me some extra width. So you can hear that in the mix. So listen.
Save them for a rainy day in a box beneath. When you feel too alone, scare away the cold.
Cool. Now let's listen to our acoustic guitar. Let's go to the chorus here. The acoustic, I've done some similar kind of tricks. Here's acoustic left and right. I'm rolling off everything below 100 with a fairly gentle slope. I'm boosting some low mids just lightly. To be honest, that helps control my slope as well if I take that off. See, my slope is a little too aggressive for me. So it's an old trick I learned on a console to boost and cut in similar-ish areas. So I just do a little boost, and it keeps it a little bit more even. Not doing anything in the mids, and then on the high mids and above, I'm doing a nice gentle slope, which you can control here, of 5K and above. Compression is being supplied by, again, our analog channel. Not a huge amount, but you'll hear it across here on the strums. Great. And then for a little bit of fun, have a listen to this. This is, I like this. This is the SBL. It's adding a little extra processing on it, which is kind of distorting it just a little bit. It's subtle. It's very subtle, but it's adding some like little extra sparkle across the top, which I really, really love. You can do that also with Aphex. They make an Aphex plugin, which does that same kind of like extra. It's the aural exciter, and it adds a little extra sparkle. It's like an easy way to do some high-end EQ without sitting there and going crazy on it, because these are adding additional harmonics. So left and right, hard left for the chorus. And then the other thing I'm doing is I've got my acoustic guitar panned hard left, but it's being sent to the right-hand channel of a split mono reverb. And then, of course, the hard right acoustics being sent to the opposite side. And that gives us some nice big stereo width. Just a good old-fashioned deverb that comes with the Avid Pro Tools, Avid supplies. I've got it about 750 milliseconds, so it's not too long. And that gives us width. So in the track.
Life is like a map. You will find your path. Sometimes you'll get lost. Take some photographs.
Another trick, if the acoustic guitars are overly bright, is to use a de-esser. Now with Pro Tools, with Avid Pro Tools, the de-esser that comes with it is pretty darn good. So you could put that across either individual tracks, or you could put it across the stereo bussing of the acoustic. And I like that. It will get rid of that kind of zithery, sit-up, high frequencies that you can get. It's a nice trick. De-essing in general is a quick and easy way to control very high frequencies. It's not just for vocals. You can use it on any kind of instrument that's getting a little out of control. Well, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Go to the email list, and you can go to producelikeapro.com, and you can get exclusive content on recording drums and pianos, and also you can download files that I've recorded that you can edit yourself. You can do that with the Beat Detective one. You can do that, so you can learn how to edit drums with Beat Detective. We'll talk in future about editing drums, manually, and we'll have some fun. So please subscribe and go to the email list at producelikeapro.com. Thank you ever so much for watching.